Other Tom.
If all our listeners out there would just hold on tight for just another minute, Jowlxs of Justice Part 2 is coming up.
Awesome. I don't hear me. Which is this? There I am.
This is your volume, just so you know. You can put that wherever you want.
Okay. Okay, well, that sounds good. I gel with approval. Okay, so surprise everyone. Yep, I'm on. Good deal. Surprise everyone. Droopy McGobbler's back. Now, as I said, for those of you who listened to part one, the guy who, the American Patriot, other Tom, I call him, he had asked me to fill in for him. I don't know why I do all these ahs and ums and so on and so forth while I'm on the radio. I mean, I don't do them in class. Maybe because I can't see you guys jowling against me. So if you jowl, or if you want to jowl in sync with me, right, to droop as I droop, right, or to droop against me, then give me a call, 414-935-2951. 414-935-2951. And tell me, how do you jowl? I think they should replace courtroom procedure with the way I say it. The way I see it. The way I say it. I mean, that is to say, okay, that the judge should say, and Mr. Foreman, how hang your jowls of justice? Do they still wobble? And the jury foreman will either say, yes, they sway. Well, I haven't figured that part out yet. I mean, come on, this stuff developed from stuff hundreds of years old. All right. But at any rate, either they sway in dissonance, or they hang straight and true, right? And how do you jowl? And they will say something like, we gobble in favor of the defendant, right? Or, I don't know, something about jowls and guilty. But, I don't know, court sucks. I don't want to talk about that stuff anyway. Let me think of something better. Or you could give me something better. Wait a second. No, I'll wait a bit before I call people from the call-in line. But, I definitely will. For those of you who heard me last week, right, I was really reaching. And I grabbed a guy off the street. A guy who was walking along. Said, come in. All right. And I motioned to him. And he came in, and I sat him down, stuck a mic at him. All right. So walk by the station and see if I do that. All right. Okay, there we go. I mean, this is one of the best ways to procrastinate, okay, is not only am I doing something, right, that's important to the community because I'm on community radio, right, also, that's kind of important that I have to fill in for someone on a radio show. I ought to do what's asked of me and I have time to do. And there was another reason too, but probably because it's more fun and less work than going ahead and writing my final paper and preparing for the speech and so on and so forth. But I'm pretty good at the extemporaneous speech. Like I said last hour, a little too good. And as in I talk too much. Now, the first time I did this, I sat down and talked for an hour. The second time I did this, oh, a guy's showing me waddles. He's describing waddles. All right. Apparently, what he means is that I need to give a re-explanation, a refresher course on the various types of neck, okay, and chin, fat, and skin. That sort of rhymes. Neck and chin, fat and skin. That that imply various levels of gravitas. Okay, authority, authorita, that is to say, wisdom, knowledge, right? Judgment, that is to say, jowls of just judgment, right? Different from the jowls of justice, which hang from my face, whether you can see them or not. The camera, however, was not pointing at me. But you know what? I worry about this camera way too much. The stupid camera. Yeah. Bugger. Yeah, I can see bugger. Okay. But anyway, I worry about this camera way, way too much because this is River West Radio, not River West TV. Right? I wouldn't want to be on TV. I wouldn't want to have a TV show. Right? This is a radio show. Like I said in the very beginning of this, okay, all you're going to see is me in a headset anyway. And, I was hoping to not be seen so I could tell everyone that I actually possessed physical jowls, right, rivaling maybe Mark Shields and his hefty bags, okay? I mean, the respect that those command, right? No wonder, he's not just a regular commentator, right? He's a PBS news guy. And, that requires some serious jowls. I've talked about academic jowls, political jowls before, those sorts of things, right? Business jowls, jowls of presidency. Okay, once you get a title of president, then they start to develop. I've known people who have moved up from vice president to president, or for that matter, from once you get past a certain level of management, right, and authority, then you kind of to advance any further. Quite honestly, there's a bit of a glass ceiling until you develop jowls that have the most that have sufficient that conveys sufficient integrity, okay, wisdom, experience, and so on and so forth. Now, you can have. Now, let me see here. Lee Raymond. There's that one famous picture, all right, but then there's that other one of Chris Christie and his gobbler, because he is powerful enough to have both even though he's only a governor, right? Only a governor. I'm not a governor. I should be governor, right? But, I probably can't be governor. But hey, who cares? Oh. Sometimes the media has more power than the government anyway. And now that I'm a media personality, right, I should be able to yell about it all the time in a grandiose manner, in the sense of this one episode of Lois and Clark, right, which I really used to like. I was just at the right age. It was, high school and stuff, I guess. It was always like, yeah, Terry Hatcher. But then later, when I started watching Desperate Housewives, right, in some respects because of Terry Hatcher, it was like, not quite like Lois and Clark. But now Nicolette Sheridan, oh yeah. I never saw Knots Landing and stuff, though. I never watched any of that stuff. All right, so I just confessed to watching what a lot of you who would listen to this, right, who are intellectual enough to listen to this, would probably consider to be garbage. But quite honestly, right, I have the thing where starting a series of something is maybe not addictive. Maybe I'll say it triggers a compulsion, right? I have to see how things end. I have to see the next part, right? I have to watch series even of things I don't like. And I'll jowl against how much worse, right, each one is than the last. For instance, you obviously know that I'm making reference to Twilight, right? That is garbage. Do you know that when I was at Barnes and Noble, okay, at the mall, there was I went to use the bathroom, and there was, believe it or not, okay, a section, maybe just one shelf, yeah, I think so, but a section called, and headed Teen Paranormal Romance. Okay, stuff called Bloodline and stuff with wolves and all that kind of weird, just ridiculous crap. I mean, knockoffs of a bad thing to start with, of a piece of garbage. I mean, Stephen King, right? And he's developing them. Don't forget, those are man. Hold on. Wait, did I just tell a radio audience to hold on? Yo, I'm on the radio. Yo, what's up? Yeah, Mike, what's up? The big wide ones? Yes. Yeah, I'm on, oh, I don't know where I would have the blue one. But, okay, you'll have to give Michelle a call because she's there. She, is in a neck collar, though. Yeah, her fusion may have collapsed. Or a ruptured disc, they might say. Right. When I get back, oh shit. Oh shoot. Oh bugger. Hold on. Sorry for the interruption, folks. All right, that was my bad. At any rate, though, just imagine somebody just passed by laughing at me. Right, I should have gave him a non-radio gesture. But at any rate, just imagine the scene. Head of state. Man, I need more Hyper X Force 3 coffee. Yeah, I'm advertising it. Who cares? Maybe they'll send me free stuff. Haha. The, so, at any rate, oh, heck. I forget what I was going to say, but Stephen King jowled against Stephanie Meyer. He did, while he gobbled in favor. I think he has waddles, maybe? I don't know. It doesn't matter because even if he didn't, he'd have authority, right? He'd have authority, right? And mastera over writing. As I've talked about before, the incarnation of letters, right, smiles upon him. But at any rate, yeah. So his jowling in favor of J.K. Rowling is significant, right? Especially when he jowled against Stephanie Meyer and saying, by saying, she can't write worth a darn, and he didn't even need to swear. He said darn. All right, and That came from the jowl, that issued forth from the jowls of Stephen King. I mean, he's like me, where he had internal jowls and metaphorical jowls, right, and mental jowls well before he even started to develop jowl buds physically. You know, and he probably drooped way farther than I do. I mean, he'll probably rival, okay, Ted Kennedy when he gets a little bit older. I mean, he may be in his 60s now, but you know, he, oh yeah, and even if he doesn't get him like that, right, he'll be like, you know, the inner jowls, the mental jowls of Stephen King, the man who invented people like Randall Flagg and the Man in Black and Roland the Gunslinger and Cujo the Rabid Dog, all that stuff. Yeah, I can make it a literary review show if I want. It's the Jowls of Justice. Whatever issues forth from mine, right, is what the show is about. Stream of consciousness. Sometimes it's all about jowls, right? Now, we know what jowls are and where they hang. Okay, wattles are flaps of skin, right, under the chin, right, between the chin and the neck. And they have to be crinkly, right, and resemble the red wattles of a rooster, for instance, or a turkey, a tom turkey. Huh, that's funny. Because this is Tom filling in for Tom. At any rate, the wattles, right, generally keeping with the alliterative theme and also what they represent, right, wattles of wisdom. Wattles of wisdom. Okay, just like jowls of judgment, all right, jowls of justice, but you can have jowls of anything, really. You know, those are the most common, right, followed by wattles. Then the turkey gobbler. Okay, let me establish this because there's been confusion about this, and I think I explained this last hour, but I still, when I came in, had a discussion with someone about the different sorts of neck and chin, skin, and fat and skin. And that includes the turkey gobbler, which is not the wattles. The turkey gobbler is a big neck roll, right? That's not just a double chin, but significantly extending, significantly folded, okay, and bulging, if you will, around the neck, right, all the way back to about the ears or the base of the jaw, right, and separate from, it can be the entire neck as long as it's separate from the cheeks, okay, even if the cheeks droop outside of a gobbler, okay, such as, who's a good example? Roger Ailes of Fox News. Okay, he's got a turkey gobbler and jowls, amazing jowls. I mean, I should make a series of posters or memes, right? Jowl versus Jowl 2012. Ailes versus Shields, right? I don't feel like I'm insulting these guys because I'm really, admiring, right? Admiring and to some extent even promoting their jowls, and the authoritativeness thereof, not just the authority, right? And they know that a lot of their credibility comes from right there, right? It's stored, if you will, in the sides of the face, not in a chipmunk-like fashion, such as a baby named Chubbs, right? Well, actually a toddler named Chubbs when he was the chubbiest. Just in the cheeks, though. I convinced some people, right, that this kid with really chubby cheeks, I had this picture, suffered from something called polybucally. Okay. Now, that would, in fact, mean, in medical terminology, ooh, is that my line? Hey, is that my line? Jowls of Justice. Nothing. Darn, I got all excited. Now, where was I? The turkey gobbler. Okay, the turkey gobbler is very common in business. You know, jowls are common in politics because they hypnotize, right? They swing back and forth. They don't even need to be shiny, right? They attract the eye. You know, you can't deny it. You can't deny if you meet somebody in any capacity, right, with enormous jowls, right, especially if they flap, right, as the guy moves his head, especially if he's someone who shakes his head a lot and, right, then, you know, those, what was I saying? Turkey gobblers. Turkey gobblers, the neck roll, right, is when I sort of try to do the noise. And that can shake. You can gobble one way while jowling the other, right? And honestly, there's been a lot of that in business recently in the last few years, last decade or so. And, you know, it's reflected in the faces of the executives. And, you know, like I said, though, most jowls I approve. I feel that they convey, right, and in some cases augment substantively, right, the qualities that I had just described, right. Now, then there is the bullfrog. The bullfrog, okay, apparently needs to be explained more, right. There are obviously skinny jowls, right, that are just loose skin, such as Arlen Specter, Joe Lieberman, right? Note the two independent senators, right? They need big flappers if they're going to, you know, go back and forth like that, right? And if they're going to support that, like just on their own platform, rather than with the backing of a major party, right? You better have jowls that equal the authority of like a national committee, right? It's no accident that those two. But at any rate, Orrin Hatch as well. Right, those are sort of thin jowls, right? Then there are fat jowls that don't need to be on a fat man, right? But in some cases they're much more impressive, such as Mark Shields, right? Who isn't that fat, but his jowls and his gobbler are amazing. You don't always notice his gobbler because his jowls are so big, right? Not just distinct, but large. Okay. And Roger Ailes, being sort of a rotund fellow, right, he commands so much power, right, I believe in part because of the, of the beanbag couches hanging off his face as the chairman of Fox News. You know, yes, he's extremely powerful. I mean, look at the guy, right? It kind of goes with. Look at Bill Clinton. He was a Big Mac scarfing, hush puppy chopping, salad bowl, you know, reaching greasy hand, hush puppy. I know somebody who told a story like that, right? Eating out of a salad bowl of hush puppies and stuff, right? Getting greasy. At any rate, yeah, he was awesome. A saxophone playing, Big Mac scarfing, you know, cool dude, right? Who also was an amazing diplomat and president. And, you know, the first he got a little too fat and cholesterol filled as president, needed surgery, right? Then was, most of you should remember this, then was, you know, perhaps too thin. Right, now he's a vegetarian and all that stuff. So that's probably political. But all jowls aside, you know, look at Barack Obama's hair, which went gray, in about 6 months. You know, it happens. I mean, Nixon, of course, had his jowls probably when he was about, you know, just like those unlucky kids whose hair goes white or gray at 16, right? And they have to dye it for the next 50 years or whatever till it looks like it makes sense. Although I'd keep white hair. Right, I'd keep it really white, and that would be pretty awesome. But at any rate, maybe I wouldn't if I had it. Who knows? Right, I'd rather have it about anything than losing my hair. But you can't even see the top of my head with that camera. So whatever. But right, the bullfrog is none of those guys have a bullfrog. I can't even think of really of people except for Chief Judge Belvin H. Perry Jr. Belvin, when Melvin just isn't enough. All right. I'd I'd want him. I think he should have a They always said he could start a television show like Judge Judy or Judge Joe Brown. But Judge Belvin Perry, that's the one I'd want to be on. All right. Now, Judge Wapner, the original court show, The People's Court. All right. Very famous. I wonder how much money they had to pay him to do this. Did it forever. When he left the People's Court, the next show he did was Judge Wapner's Animal Court on the Animal Channel, the Animal Planet channel. And and oh man, on the Animal Channel, Judge Wapner's Animal Court, and it was mostly dog bites and that sort of thing. But there was one that I remember where I just thought it was so funny, and there was one that I remember where one guy said, one guy was accused the other of shooting at his dog, right? And the guy said, "Your dog attacked my pet goat again." And the guy said, "He did not. You left your fence open." And the guy said, I made sure to close that fence because of your dog, and I told you if he came after my goat or my chickens, I'd let him have it." And the guy says, "You can't shoot at my dog." All right, and the guy who might have been shooting, the accused shooter, alleged shooter, says, "If I had shot at your dog, I would have hit him. I just shot to scare him." All right, I forget how it came out, but he didn't shoot the dog dead because that would be a little too macabre to put on, a court show on the Animal Channel. But it's oh man, I am pretty darn tired. Hey, anybody else want to take over? I'm pretty tired. Darn, I need some more Hyper X Force 3 coffee. In fact, ooh, is that for me? At any rate, no, yeah, I'm pretty, I shouldn't have told you guys about that Hyper X Force 3 coffee because there's only a limited amount. All right, it's a while supplies lasting. Here I am telling you more unnecessary stuff because now you're going to go buy it while I'm still on the air, and I won't be able to go buy it under all your noses. So therefore, I'll have to find some other source to get it because, it doesn't matter if it makes you crash after a little while. All right, you can just drink more of it. Man. I don't know. Let's take a 5-minute break. Do what you need to do. Go to the bathroom. Smoke a cigarette. Run and get a pie and then start eating it right out of the pie pan. You know you want to. There's nobody who doesn't want to do that. Eat a pie right out of the pan and eat the whole thing. But, yeah, I'll be back. Just like the Terminator and General Douglas MacArthur. Okay, I'm back. I thought of some stuff because I got an energy soda. Aroo. Anyway, so I want to talk about the importance of being prepared. Okay, I was a Boy Scout, and be prepared is our motto. And I took that. That's about all I learned that I took with me through life. But be prepared. Because preparation prevents poor performance. Prior planning prevents poor performance as well. So I've always got, things like a first aid kit, right? And somehow I always, just general preparedness stuff, right? I try to always keep a pen on me. And somehow I always have whatever somebody needs. Do you have one of, right, in whatever situation? I've always got one in my pocket, or I just found one somewhere, right? Or I grabbed one just in case. So at any rate, what?
Oh, what is this?
What?
What is this thing?
Oh, this is from over there. What?
Wanna...
Dude, the $3, man. Here, I'll give you $3 to go get one. That's fair. Tip the techie.
Do they have ones with sugar in them?
I don't think so. They're just sparkling water with caffeine.
We're good for a long time. You and me, right?
Here you go.
An extra bandwidth or something?
Ooh, bandwidth.
I don't know. Thanks.
Sounds good. All right. Anyway, guys. So being prepared is important. But sometimes, right, after I say it, it comes out sounding a little silly. Right? But sometimes it's just funny. In the sense of, this kid is allergic to, he's got asthma and he's allergic to, whatchamacallit, he's allergic to dust. Right? But he likes electronics. So we were cleaning out, right, this old power supply, right, from a computer. Didn't work. With, toothbrushes, an air duster, air blower, that sort of thing, right? And there was a lot of dust in the air. And he was coughing, sneezed a little bit and said, man, I wish I had a mask or something, right? And what I said was, without even thinking about it, right, without really saying anything else, oh yeah, PPE is under the first aid stuff, the shelf below the first aid stuff, next to the sink lower cabinet on the right-hand side. And then I realized that sounded funny. It was like, what's PPE? I said, oh, personal protective equipment, for chemical hazards and stuff. And there's gloves and big, neoprene gloves and masks and all that good stuff. Right, but you got to have that just in case. What I don't have is safety goggles, and I should. That's an important part of preparedness, not just for chemicals, but for things like BB guns. Right? You'll put your eye out, kid, if you remember A Christmas Story. So anyway, though, the point is that you should always be prepared. The latest funny one was, okay, everybody pay attention. Emergency lights around here are all yellow and black, and they're kept in the same cabinet with the PPE. Right. But yeah, people would come up to me always, and, the last place I lived in, right, I lived with a bunch of roommates, and people would always come up to me, hey, do you know how to do this? And I'd always know, or I'd always have it, right? Do you have nail polish remover, right? You probably don't have that. A girl asked me that, somebody's like girlfriend. And I was like, of course I do. It's super glue solvent, because that's a no-brainer, right? If you ever use super glue, you should have that stuff around, acetone, all right? And the thing is that, right, it's kind of common sense to have the solvents to any adhesives that you're using, right? And the, and that kind of stuff. I mean, Gorilla Glue, you need... Wow, this mic is picking up a movie in the background. But anyway, I jowl that you should have, I give Jowly advice. that you should always have the solvent to whatever you're using that gets on stuff. You should always have whatever the stain remover is for, whatever staining thing you're using, right? Because otherwise you're going to look silly, right? Then it got to knock, knock, knock. Hey, Droopy, do you know how to treat a dog bite? But you know what? I did. I knew exactly what to do. Patched it up, sent him to the hospital, and you know what? They asked if the nurses, and professionals had done that in triage. Right? I mean, that was a really good compliment. Right? Another thing I like to do is cook. Right? That makes it sound like what I like to do is patch up legs, right, from dog bites. But whatever. Right? I can say what I want. It's my show. So I like to cook. Right? And I've gotten to the point where I'm handing up instead of being handed down. I'm handing recipes up to my mom. Hold on a second. Who cares? I don't know. I don't give a shit. Shoot. At any rate, though. Wait. What? Okay. Okay. At any rate, though. So, I'm handing recipes up to my mom and even my grandma. Right? And that's quite something. But, I have a really great roast chicken recipe. I made some really, good beef back ribs today. I made a steak once. A couple steaks that I have to remember how I did. Chuck eye steaks, which are a great secret cut. The chuck eye steak, the hanger steak. But especially the chuck eye because it's a less expensive ribeye. It's still a ribeye steak. It's just one rib into the chuck primal cut. So what that means is ribeye for half, right? For $4.99 or $3.99, even a pound, instead of $9.99, $10.99 more, right? With the whole Black Angus thing, and so the way I made these steaks was so good, right? That when I went home the next time for the next family event, right, I was sitting with my sisters and my mom and my dad. Right, I can't remember if my brother or nephew were there. And I was telling him about the steak. And we were eating New York strip steaks, big ones. And I said, this steak, in fact, was so good that you can only talk about it while actually eating other steak. Right, and she said, yeah, I was just going to say that. We're eating steak right now. And you're talking about this other thing. I'm like, yeah, it's got to be that way. You have to be eating steak to even talk about this one. Even though I just broke the rule. Whatever. It's my show. I can do and say what I want. But anyway, so my grandparents live in Buffalo. And, I was there and I was making buffalo wings for them. Right? With my mom's recipe, which I assumed she learned from my grandma. Right, and I said, right, how do you make your buffalo wings? She's like, oh, I was going to ask you for the recipe because these are really good. I never make them. And I said, but you live in Buffalo, right? How could you not know how to make buffalo wings? And she said, I live in Buffalo. You can get them everywhere. Why do I have to know how to make them? Right, but now it's 5 minutes before the hour, right? So apparently what we learned today was that even though caffeine makes you perky instead of droopy, for these jowls to droop, droopy needs more caffeine. So remember, I'm the one who put the Tom in tomfoolery and who nobody ever calls. You should write down 414-935-2951 and call me next Wednesday at 5 p.m., issuing forth from the Jowlxs of Justice.